Hello and welcome again to my channel. My name is Pauline with Harp and Cards, and today I'm doing my second installment for the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge by Donnely. These prompts that I'm going to go through today are all about my most used tarot and oracle tools for 2017. So tarot decks, oracle decks and tarot books. I must say that there was a detail added to these prompts, which was these decks should have been purchased or published in 2017. So I had to keep out of this list some of my favorites, which are some of my most used decks every day. But this is good because now I get to mention some of the decks that I acquired quite recently and that I am very happy to work with, and I hope to get to work more in this 2018. So first, for sure, the Ostara Tarot. This is one, well, talking about tarot decks, this is one of the decks that I used more in 2017, and I acquired it as soon as it was available with Amazon, because I know that this deck had been produced independently and then it was picked up and it became mass produced. I also heard some stories about it being a bit problematic when it was independently produced, but I am so happy about this version. I cannot imagine any better. I love the cardstock, although it's a bit shiny, so when you're doing videos or pictures sometimes it gets a bit tricky, but you know, the gilding, everything about it, it's so luscious. And the artwork is quite particular, which I thought in the first place might not appeal to me, but instead I love it. And I even am very fond of something that I never would have thought, which is the artists that created this deck are four different amazing women. So there are quite noticeable. You can clearly distinguish four art styles amongst the cards, which sometimes I find a bit disturbing because I need some kind of continuity through the cards, and I feel that, you know, to get to know the spirit of the deck or to get acquainted with it, it's easier when I understand what's the general feeling of the deck. But still, this really is such an easy read. I mean, it just speaks to me in a very intuitive way, and I've been using it also for some kind of readings that I didn't think it would be suitable for. For instance, I used it for my shadow work earlier on, and I mean, this style is still quite, you know, soft. It's particular, but it's, I mean, it's not dark or anything, but still it was a really good tool. Especially it has very nice packaging, and the guidebook is awesome. It's short and, well, very useful, but I also like the fact that it has, you know, full color cards, so I just read through it, which I normally don't do. I usually go to the deck first and then reference the book afterwards. But as I was trying to use this deck also more for clients, I started reading the book, and it was really nice to study it using the pictures. It was really easy to understand the meaning of the cards. Second deck, it's the Starchild Tarot. This is probably the most expensive deck that I own. Not that it is too expensive on its own, but it's just that I live in Italy, and so it's very difficult sometimes to get decks shipped from the US because of shipping fees and also custom. And so this was quite an investment, but one I'm very happy about. It's of course by Danielle Noel, and it's a super luscious deck. It has gilding as well, which is gorgeous, and the cardstock is amazing. I think this is my favorite cardstock because it's matte and it's a bit, you know, I don't know how you say that in English, but it's like buttery. I don't know if that's a thing, but I just love it. It feels amazing when you shuffle, when you draw cards, and the artwork is, well, It's so particular. I don't know if you can really see the cards because of the light, but well, everybody knows this deck, so it's just gorgeous. I actually thought a lot about buying this deck, not only for cost reasons, but also because it's so, I mean, it has a very distinct flavor and personality, and I was afraid that I might not connect or be able to read it in, you know, in the way I do other decks, but that wasn't the case, and I just really love it. And I use it for readings, again, of all sorts, so it's a very versatile deck. Third on my list, well, this is, as you can see probably from now on, these decks that I picked are very different one from the other. And this is one thing I really like. Well, let's say this third deck is the Centennial edition of the Rider-Waite Smith. So the original. And this is the Borderless edition, because I have other Rider-Waite Smith decks. The Universal I've been using a lot for many years. But actually I trimmed the Universal deck, but I also wanted bigger pictures, because when you trim them they become so small. And I really like this edition. This is one that made my reading with Rider-Waite Smith so much easier, because of the size and because they are borderless, and I like the coloring because it's quite antique. It looks really authentic, and I really like the original writing on underneath the cards. So yeah, this was a very inspirational choice, and I know it's just Rider-Waite Smith, but I've been using it a lot, very much for my own readings, for client readings. And what I was saying before is that I use a lot of decks. I have, well, not a huge collection, but a quite diverse collection, which makes me happy. I'm trying to buy less decks, as most of you probably. But I'm really happy with the decks that I have. There are some of them which really haven't clicked with me, and I'm thinking about, you know, giving them away or trying to connect with them better. But the thing is that when you use different decks, sometimes you really get different messages, and it so much depends on the deck that you're using. Now I was connecting more with the basic Rider-Waite Smith, and I find very interesting going back to basics. So sometimes I like a richer imagery to draw upon, to find inspiration and to connect with my intuition. Sometimes I try to go as basic as possible. That totally depends on the way I'm feeling, the way I connect with the client, the purpose of the reading. So it's good to have, according to my own opinion, diverse decks. But this going back to the Rider-Waite Smith was a thing that I really enjoyed. Well, could I not mention, well, I see that there are plenty of gilded decks in here. Let's see, you probably recognize this one. Gorgeous backings. It's the Bad Bitches Tarot. Well, coming from where we were, you see what I mean by the diverse. This is a really sassy and very powerful deck, and it's totally different from anything that I have. And sometimes I just reach for this. I have to have an answer from this deck. I'm so happy that I have it. I especially enjoy using it when I am looking for an inspiration, you know, like mind, body, spirit draws, or when you're trying to set a goal or an intention for a new moon, for instance, and I want to embody some kind of energy. And this feminine images, figures, so modern, so, I mean, they really look like people you could meet every day or be every day. It makes it so easy to connect with their energies. So sometimes I really feel the need to use this deck when I need to look up to this kind of energies and connect with them in an easy, immediate way. And also the guidebook is great. It's really, well, it's so brilliant and still very deep, but it speaks to you as a friend would. So the Bad Bitches Tarot, excellent choice. And again, awesome, totally awesome packaging. I mean, just the color of this box, but it's magnetic and the inside is gorgeous. Well, very, very special to me. The last deck I would like to mention, this is actually a much older deck, but I just acquired it this year and started working with it. The artwork is by Will Worthington, which I really admire, and I have another deck, an oracle deck by him. I just got it this year because this is another deck that is a bit different in the sense that the card names are different, and also the meaning are not Rider-Waite-Smith totally. Some of the cards are easily traceable, but for instance this one, 8 of Arrows, and it's called, the keyword is struggle. So that's not exactly the first thing that I would think for the 8 of Swords, but then the imagery is so rich and so inspiring, and I think it's great for path working. So I was a bit scared about this kind of connection and going into different system, but then as soon as I saw the cards, that was just not a big deal. I mean, it's so easy to read them intuitively. Also, there is a lot of animal energy in this deck, animal wisdom, and I find that is great. Also, the fact that it's based on Celtic lore, that I enjoy very much, because of course playing Celtic harp I have been drawn for years to Celtic legends and myths and the pantheon, so it's good to see these images and connect to this ancestral energy. And okay, so these are 5 decks. I would just like to mention just one little honorable mention, which is the Deviant Moon. This is another deck I never thought I would work with, because when I saw it, the first time I saw it probably on YouTube, I was like, it's kind of disturbing because the images are so weird and it's a bit dark, and I wasn't really sure. But again, like with the Rider-Waite-Smith, this probably makes a big difference for me. This is the Borderless edition. The cards, as you can see, are really very tall. I mean, this is the Starchild, so a normal tarot, and they are really long, but they fit really well. I think they are very easy to use, and I've been growing fonder of these images every day. I've been working with this deck quite a lot, and I'm really liking it. So honorable special mention for the Deviant Moon. And let's move on to Oracle decks. I found easier going through my favorite Oracle decks for 2017 than tarot decks. Maybe because I used a lot of tarot decks and I use less Oracle decks. Not that I have less, but I use always the same. And so the list could be quite short actually, because I mainly use 2 oracle decks to go with every tarot deck that I have. But then there are more, actually 2 or 3. So this was quite easy. Well, the first one is the color Gypsy. This actually, I think that in the States, this might be a very, very cheap deck, but this, to get it, I think I paid twice for customs than I did for the deck. So it's a very sweet and simple deck. It's just a color deck, but it's amazing. This truly is amazing, and it complements so well every deck that I have. And the fact that it's color coded, it's just great for chakra work, and when you spread the cards, it just gives an immediate feeling of what the energy involved is. So I use it every time. I'm actually in my habit. I recently changed this thing. Maybe in the past 4 or 5 months, I started adding to my daily draws, which I record in my tarot journal. Usually I drew one tarot card. Now I always pair 1 tarot card with an oracle card, and this is one of the decks that I use, one of the 2 decks that I use basically every day. And I really like the color. Well, that's a quite obvious thing to say, but you know, just you can pair it with basically everything. And the thing is that, okay, this is a visual thing, of course, which is pleasing to the eye, but it truly is amazing how the messages on the cards, which are really simple, because I mean, this is travel, explore, and we have let go. So they're not complicated. Free spirit. This is in my January energy of month. Now, they're very simple messages and keywords, but it's amazing how well they go with tarot cards. I've been really surprised with this deck, and I've been loving it so much. The other deck that I use all of the time with all of my tarot decks, and also on its own for spreads, and I just love the book as well, which is on my book list too. This is, of course, the Sacred Creators Oracle. This is totally one of my favorites of all times, but I just got it in 2017, so it's good for this challenge. I can mention it. The gilding, let's not talk about that. And the cardstock. This is, I mean, it's so beautiful. And again, the color is, I don't know if you can see them in this lighting, but just looking at it, it makes my heart sing. And apart from the visual aspect, which is gorgeous, I love all the cards in this deck. The messages are simply amazing. They are amazing. And the guidebook to go with it, it's just out of this world. So many journaling prompts, so many, I don't know, you could just read it on its own. But also if you want to relate to the cards just intuitively. Oh, this is my, I wanted to get closer to show how beautiful this is, but this might be worse. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh yes, that these messages go so well with tarot cards as well. So I've been using this for my year ahead spread as well, and this is an absolute favorite of mine. So these are the main 2 decks. Then the third one, which is another deck that is so close to my heart, this is the Universal Mind. Universal Mind by Michelle Black, and who is a lovely lady. Sacred Creators Oracle, of course, is by Chris-Anne, which I'm a huge fan of. And this is another one that I use a lot. I've been taking this to Tuscany during the holidays with me, and you can see that some of the cards got a bit beaten up, but still, how gorgeous is this? Just the artwork and the messages. And this deck has a guidebook, a PDF downloadable guidebook, but which is super useful. But I must say, I always read this deck intuitively, and in combination usually with tarot cards, or just as, you know, one card draw. There are very useful spreads and also rituals in the guidebook, so I've done some of that. But when I need some kind of message from this deck, it just speaks so naturally. The images and the keywords, they are also very interesting and different, and I don't know, this is just an amazing deck. The cards are also very big, so it's quite useful to go inside the pictures. And for me, for a harp, when I play the cards, when I make music starting from the cards, this is another great way to create musical landscapes, and I just am in love with this deck, totally. Right, 3. Then the fourth one is one that I don't really know as well as I should, as I want to, but this just arrived, I think, in November, and it's the Connected and Free. This is, I mean, it's from Inner Hue. It's from 2014, but for me it's a new deck, and it's just amazing. This is this goes with tarot decks very well, but it's also a standalone, I think. And it's, I mean, the artwork is really gorgeous, and this is one of my favorites. Don't know if you can see that. But they are so cool. And also this deck has an awesome guidebook, but it suggests not to use it as much, but to base the readings more on intuition, and I really appreciate that. And it also has a full chakra set of cards, masculine and feminine, and there are lots of excellent energies in this deck, and I really love it very much. Also the cardstock is really good, and the general quality of the packaging and of everything is amazing. This was a gift that I gave myself for my birthday, well, a bit earlier. And the last oracle deck that I chose, it's called Tarot, but it's really an oracle deck, and it's one that I truly love. This is very dear to my heart, and it's again very different from everything else. This is by Beautiful Shannon. It's the Rebel deck. Rebel deck is just life for me. I draw from this deck every Friday and every time that I need to be kicked a bit, because it's just so funny. But still, you could think that it being funny doesn't make it a serious deck. Of course, I wouldn't use this for most of my clients, because, you know, but I use this for some of my friends, the ones I know that are aligned with my way of intending serious stuff, which is, yeah, we can be very spiritual and we can be very serious and try to better ourselves, but this will never stop us from laughing about ourselves and try and keep, well, this kind of attitude, which is super cool, I think, and very useful to go forward on such a path. And I just love the messages of this card, because it just puts it in such a sassy way, and it's so, I mean, it just speaks to me. So sometimes you just need someone to tell you, yeah, take some yoga classes. And also behind the cards you get a little explanation of the messages. So it's just awesome for when you need this kind of energy, and I draw from this deck constantly, and it keeps me grounded, and it keeps, you know, how can you not love it? I mean, this says, don't talk to anyone, don't look at anyone, you need some fucking time alone. Sorry, swear word, I should have probably said something about it, but yes, this deck is full of adult language, so it's advisable only if you have kind of a dirty mind, as I do. And so that's it for tarot and oracle decks. Now going to books, it was the top 5 tarot books of 2017. One I already mentioned, it's not really tarot, but it's the Sacred Creators Oracle Guidebook. As you can see, this is a really meaty guidebook. It really is a book by Chris Ann, and it's written amazingly. It's just every card. Now you definitely won't be able to see this with this bright light, but there is a lot of space for every card, so more or less 4 pages, and it always have a dive-in journaling paragraph where you can get some prompts to do your own work on this card. It has essential meaning, so if you're in a hurry, like I am usually in the morning, I just draw the card, and then of course I try to read it intuitively, but then I go back maybe to the book to see if I missed something. And these essential messages are really cool, but then you can dive in, and there is so much content in this book. Sometimes I just go through it without drawing any cards, and it's amazing. Also plenty of excellent spreads, and just so much inspiration for sacred creators, for everyone working in spiritual businesses, but everyone, I think, engaged in any kind of path. If you're driven by your passion, if you're trying to do your work better, this is an awesome book to read. Second book, Kitchen Table Tarot. This I just finished like 2 days ago, and I was reading it through the Christmas holidays. It's a light reading in the sense that it's written in a very enjoyable way, but it gets a lot of messages for every single card. There is a lot, and it also has inverted card meanings for every card, even the pips. And I think I just kicked my camera. Please bear with me. Yeah, this is really fun, and also I really enjoyed the initial part of the book where it speaks about how to do a reading, how not to do a reading, and Melissa Cynova's personal history with tarot, which was really inspiring and fun to read. So a lot of good advice in this book. So it also speaks a lot about caring about ourselves, and I really thought it was a light read, but a very useful and insightful one as well. The third book is the one I printed through Lulu's website for the summer course I took with the Tarot School by Anthony, and this course was Tarot and Shadow Work. Actually, Tarot and Shadow Work for activating dynamic power. And I just wanted to say, such a life-changing experience. This course you can, it's still available. There is a series of videos which you can access, and also you get to download this book. You can print it, you can keep it on your Kindle, on your ebook reader, and it's just amazing material. It's so dense, and actually I thought this would take me so much less time, but it was really an adventure. Also, there are some things before you really get started with the course. If you know Benebell Wen's work, you know how in depth she goes. And she's very inspired and very keen to provide in-depth, personalized experience with every course and every book she makes. And this course was no exception. Before getting started with the course itself, you get to work on a lot of different aspects, and there is, apart from the initial test where you can assess which element you need to work on, which element you need to develop, which key and which door you need to open with the key provided with tarot. Then there is also an entire workshop devoted to looking to the past, to the present, and to the future, and finding this shadow aspects to work on. And that was such an experience. In the presentation of the course, it says it will take 1 hour up to 1 or 2 hours, I think. I'm not sure about that, but it actually took me 6 hours. I must say, this is probably because I am very slow, but there are journal prompts and you have to work with your tarot cards and then journal about them, and then go back maybe to your past, revisit some episodes. And so it was really a long work for me to do, but such a rewarding one. And I'm really happy that I took this course and this book. I think I am definitely going back to it in the next future. You also are supposed to do reviews after a few months and after a year. So this is definitely in my collection. And I would stop here because the other 2 tarot books that I want to mention, I actually haven't finished yet. I've been reading other books which are not tarot related, but spiritual books. I'm always reading more than one book. This one is Modern Tarot by Michelle Tia. I just went through it and read some of the card description, and I love the fact that at the end of each card she adds this was the 2 of Cups, be the 2 of Cups, and there are some prompts and some suggestion to go inside the card, and that is amazing, and it goes so well. That's why I bought it with the work I'm doing with the harp, so I think it will be a great inspiration, but I still haven't gone through it. The last one also that I still haven't started reading yet, but I got in 2017 and I really wish to dive in very soon, is Tarot at Crossroads, which is amazing, I'm told, and it deals with tarot and psychology. So there are very interesting aspects of tarot reading related to psychology. I was looking for the contents. Representational uses of the cards, connecting the surface and the depths, from discovery to rebirth, inner dialogues, conversation among sides of the self, multiple others, the cards, and you, points in the process, further travels on a novel path. Unlocking the mysteries, the major arcana, universal symbols, the 4 suits of the minor arcana. If numbers could speak, what might they say? So it looks like a really interesting read, but I still haven't gotten into it, and so I think I will stop right here. Still, I've spoken quite a long time. I hope I didn't bore you, and thank you very much for being with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.